Hello, my name is Yoxall. I'm a Digital Inclusion and Engagement Officer for Wigan Council's Digital Services team. My job is to promote digital inclusion in the borough and battle against digital exclusion, which is what's plaguing, unfortunately, many vulnerable residents across our communities. We look to promote our inclusion services, which is our TechMate programme, which we're going to chat about today, our tablet lending library, and our national data bank too. But today, I am very, very glad to be joined by three of our wonderful TechMate volunteers, who will all introduce themselves momentarily. Their job is to support residents in our TechMate programme. Our TechMate programme is twofold. It's one-to-one support via referral, or it's at our TechMate tea parties, which are informal group learning sessions that take place in all sorts of locations across the borough. So, without further ado, that's enough of me. I will introduce my established guests. So, Alison, would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Alison Molloy. I'm a Public Health Officer for Wigan Council, and I've been a TechMate since 2018.
My name is Debbie Bowyer. I work as a business analyst. I have been a TechMate, I don't know when I joined, last year?
I think we're coming on to a year now.
Yeah, nearly a year.
Wow.
Doesn't time fly?
It certainly does.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Allan Sheilds. I've been a TechMate for about 12 months now as well.
Yeah.
I'm retired from an IT background, a training background, and I look after the Tech Tea Party that takes place once a month at Atherton Methodist Church. I also have one-on-one learners as and when they come along.
Absolutely. So thank you all for joining me today. What the kind of purpose of this chat is just to, hear from you guys really, because I can speak till the sun goes down about TechMates, about what you guys do, and I'm converted. I believe it. So let's change the tune a bit and let's hear from volunteers, you guys who give up your own time and support people in your own local community, and get your perspective on why you do what you do and how you do what you do as well. So I'll start with yourself, Alison, if that's okay. Nice and simple. How did you come about being a TechMate?
Well, in 2018, I was caring for my mum. So one lunchtime, I popped into Wigan and Lee Care Centre just to see if they could help at all. And then I decided to volunteer using my volunteer hours that we have as an employee with Wigan Council. And I began to run a digital skills session every few months or so on a Friday afternoon. And that's what I still do now. And then I became a TechMate proper and have just one learner that I keep up with. So that was how I started.
Yeah, and it's a brilliant session at the Care Centre, by the way. I'm going to the next one, so I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, brilliant session. The Care Centre are part of our digital community partnership. So it's great that we're supporting each other to help our residents who need digital support. I'll move along the line. Same question, Debbie. How did you come about being a TechMate? Why did you want to become a TechMate?
Yeah, I was looking for something to do for an opportunity to volunteer that could meet my skill set and could use some of the expertise and experience that I have, and came across the wonderful website and the resources there, and reached out, and it was a very easy process and lots of different options for the tea parties. There's one at Lee Library that I support, and one-on-one learners, and just an opportunity to try and make a difference around digital exclusion, which is something that, until you think about it, if you are privileged to have devices and knowledge and Wi-Fi, you don't think about people that don't have that.
Absolutely, completely agree. And I will say the Lee Library session is also fantastic. It's a weekly session. It's one of our weekly sessions. Lee Library, busy library, one of our life centres in the borough. So you get the footfall, you get the characters, you get the atmosphere. So yeah, a great session, fantastic session. Same for yourself, Allan. How did you come about being a TechMate? Why did you want to be a TechMate?
It was a bit of an accident, really, Alex. I must admit, I was already engaged in some voluntary work as a station adopter And through the social media platform that I have for the station, I saw and stumbled upon the TechMate Twitter account. And at the time, I was working in the mobile phone industry, and I saw, as a colleague in a phone shop, that not only you're selling phones, you're helping people who can't use the phone that you've just sold them. And I suddenly realised that there are a tremendous number of people who are missing out on the great benefits that the electronic devices can offer them, not just in business, but in education and pleasure as well. So I then thought, well, look, I've done a lifetime career training and teaching people to use basically computers and equipment. Let's put that to good use and do something and with my retired hours. So that's how I came to get involved.
Well, it's certainly one of the best accidents that we've had, because we are very happy to have you as part of the team. And as Allan said, he supports the Atherton TechMate Tea Party, which is one of our monthly sessions. And Atherton's a great example of an alternate venue, similarly to the Curry Centre. So Atherton Methodist Church run a monthly coffee morning. It's full of the local community. It's a warm space during the winter months. And it's always great to support that local community, but also support anyone who's nearby with that basic digital support. And Allan runs that session fantastically, has done now, like you said, coming on to a year, which I can't believe we're coming on to a year for Allan and Debbie. And it's crazy how quick time flies.
The cakes are very good as well, though.
Yes, very good. Good cakes and coffee and cakes. Yeah, definitely a bonus. No, brilliant answers. I think we'll go to the next question, which is, it can be as general or as specific as you want to take this. There's no right or wrong answer at all. And we'll start with yourself, Allan, we'll work back towards me. What is the most rewarding thing about being a TechMate or the support you deliver? Like I said, generally, specific, it doesn't matter, but what do you find most rewarding about the work you do?
There are a lot of people that find using modern day equipment, tablets, computers, and in particular phones, extremely stressful.
Yeah.
So for me, when I explain to somebody how to do something, and then they find they can do it, and then they're smiling, that's the most rewarding bit for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic answer. Same question, Debbie, rewarding, is it any examples or just generally? What do you think?
Yeah, for me it's the confidence that you can see as different folks are trying different things or they're learning different things. Okay, if they're starting with just basic navigation around their device, and then maybe after a couple of weeks or months they'll come in with a specific question. They'll start with, I don't really know what I want to learn, and then they'll see something or someone else will be doing something in a session. Like, oh, I'm interested in that, and then they'll come forward with something really specific. I had a learner a while ago who has she always goes to McDonald's and gets a coffee and like reads and is on their free Wi-Fi, and so has accumulated like 24,000 McDonald's points, which is apparently a lot, and wanted to be able to kind of cash these in, but didn't know how to do it. And so we sort of got the app open and we sat and figured it out and sort of walked through it a couple of times how I thought it worked. I'd never done it, so we learned together. And then the next week she came back in, she's like, I got free coffee. So now every time she goes, she gets a free coffee, and it'll be that way until she runs out of points. Never. But it's just, she's now confident enough to do that by herself, and just coming in and telling that story of, oh, I've now got my coffee, use my points. Yeah, it's really great to see.
Super. I mean, I resonate with the confidence stuff because I'm a TechMate too, I suppose, and I do a lot of sessions and cover sessions, and I probably would agree with that in terms of what's rewarding. I think most of the time in my experience it's less of a skill issue, it's more of that confidence issue. Of course it mixes, but people like to put themselves down a bit. People like to or write themselves off, and I like kind of giving people that confidence so that they can actually believe in themselves. So completely agree with that. Fantastic. And McDonald's reward points. I mean, yeah, I'd love to be a McDonald's millionaire. Kudos to them. Kudos to them. Same question, Alison. Most rewarding thing for you?
Yeah, the guys have said it as well. It's lovely when you see someone who, scared even of not knowing what to do. And especially if it's a task that's really important to them that they need to get done. I have an example of one of my attendees in the Care Centre. He was struggling with his direct payments situation for his wife's direct payments, and he was terrified of online banking. So we had that discussion, you know, what was bothering him, all that kind of thing. It's the whole hacking thing we were talking about earlier. But then, after chatting and explaining it through with him, we got it on his mobile, we downloaded his bank app, and then the next thing you know, he's whizzing his money around in his accounts, and you could just see that confidence coming with him. The next session, when he came in, the first thing he said to me was, "It's changed my life, the way I manage my money." And the feeling it gives us, I'm sure you agree, that someone's taken that leap forward and it's changed, a radical change in their life for the better. It just gives you a fantastic feeling that it's the happiness that, you know, that you're bringing to them, and it's in such a, to us it's a small thing, but to them it's massive. And that's just one little example. It's happening with lots and lots of different things.
I think we accept that, you know, people that somebody that couldn't read, somebody that was illiterate, would be regarded now as being disadvantaged. But that's moved on now, because we don't use books. People very rarely buy papers and stuff like that. If people can't use the devices, then they are equally as disadvantaged as somebody that's illiterate.
That's right.
Because they can't access the things that they've had for years that are now on a different platform.
Yes.
So that they are then disadvantaged.
So many things now are, if you can't do the digital version of it, there isn't a non-digital alternative.
That's right.
And so you can get left behind without even realising.
Yeah, and I think that's where I think the term, it's quite funny, the term basic digital skills support, or basic digital skills, in a way doesn't do it justice, because what it means by basic is the fact that it's not rocket science, you don't need a degree, it's just those like navigational skills, but ultimately the impact isn't basic, the impact is massive, because I suppose that's where TechMates was born. TechMates was created out of COVID-19. So COVID-19 happened, lockdown happened, we try and forget it, but we know it did. And services almost overnight thrusted online because it kind of had to keep things ticking. But obviously, as we now know with hindsight, is as things maybe returned to face-to-face and returned into communities, some services didn't. Banks, some banks didn't open, some other services remained online. So now, in a very short space of time, people found themselves sinking, and I think that's where TechMates comes in, and that's where I completely agree with all your points about kind of the importance of it. And I resonate with that actually as well in terms of the fear and the anxiety. So yeah, we have the confidence issue, but there's that real fear, which isn't always kind of unjustified because you look at the news with you know, cyber attacks, and you know, I think I was at, and this is genuinely not just me saying this for today, I was at my dad's last night picking my son up, and his Instagram had been hacked, and he's sending Bitcoin messages to people about, you know, come get Bitcoin. So I helped him with that last night, literally just off, and it happens almost daily. So the fear is real. So it's about balancing that fear with the confidence, knowing that they can deal with these situations should they unfortunately arise, and looking at ways we can try and mitigate that risk. Can't get rid of it. The best of us can get caught up in it. But it's the same way, you know, the digital world and the real world do have similarities. It's just trying to manage that as best we can. So I completely agree with that, and the fantastic points. So final question, really. I'm doing a little bit of an up and down motion, so I think I'll mix it up and I'll go into the middle. So final question. This is a bit more general. It can be about TechMates, but it doesn't have to be. It can be about, you know, way before you even became a TechMate. But what would you say, or would you say, that basic digital support is important, and why? So why is basic digital support something we all should really be thinking about?
I think we've touched on parts of it already in terms of folks being left behind, and I think all of us will know that digital exclusion, or access to digital tech and confidence with it, is linked to other social indicators, right? Like if you're poorer, you're less likely to have the money, right, to get an iPhone, whatever number we're on now, I don't even know. And if you don't have like English as your first language, then learning how to do something in a different language is difficult to begin with. And there may be cultural reasons that you're excluded. So the disadvantage kind of stacks, right? And so it seems like such a tiny thing, right? To be able to get a phone or a tablet, to send an email, to do your online banking, to email your pal in Australia, whatever it is that you're trying to do. But now more than ever, it is fundamental and it is central to so much of life. There are so many things that you can do with technology, so many advantages that it can give you. But if you don't have it, you're left out in so many different ways. And that can compound with all of the other ways that you may be left out. And I am a very strong believer in fairness and justice. And so this is my little way of trying to do a little bit to make things better in that. And there are many things that we can't fix. We were talking this morning about the weather, right? There's nothing we can do about the grey rain.
Don't know when this goes out, but it is not nice today.
We're in the UK, I think everybody knows.
Yes, that's true, that's true. No, I completely agree with that point, and to be fair, I'm glad you've said it. It's something that, when I go about my daily work, is something that's evidence. Digital exclusion and digital poverty is never isolated. There's always other factors, and it mixes. Everyone's scenario is different, everyone's background's different, but I don't think yet I've found just someone experiencing digital exclusion without a link to some sort of other issue that they're facing in their life. So great point to make, and I think being aware of that is important, and that's where basic digital skills importance certainly comes to the forefront. Fantastic. Okay, I'm going to flip the coin and say Alison. So Alison, same question. Again, it can be TechMate, and since you've been a TechMate, or it can just be like just in general life, why do you think this basic digital skill support, or being conscious of the basic digital skill support, is important?
Well, as Deb has alluded to already, everything's being pushed online now, and everyone's being directed to download the app, use this QR code, or if you try and download something, you have to have an email address to bounce that, you reset your password, etc., etc. So you cannot get away from it. And essential services like the bins and things like that, in terms of Wigan Council, for example, everything's being pushed to my account online because the obvious reasons. It's easier for the council to deal with it, it's more cost effective, but those non-digital residents are getting left behind. And it's a frustration for them because I only want to order a new bin or whatever, and it's those simple tasks that become this huge insurmountable thing. And coupled with maybe they can't get hold of the doctor, or they have to do an appointment online with the hospital, etc., etc. And all these essential things for their life at that moment is just snowballing into something that they just cannot deal with. And you're right about the inequalities as well, because I do have a pupil who's from Iran, and they're in this country, and his wife, he's his wife's carer, and his second language isn't even English. I think it's Kurdish, then Arabic, then English. Wow. So he's learnt English in the past 2 or 3 years since they've been here. Wow, but he's like a sponge because in his own country he's a physics professor. Wow. So extremely intelligent gentleman, but disadvantaged because of all these things we've just been talking about. But he wants to learn, so he could do with someone just a one-to-one every single day because he would just fly with it. So you see all these barriers constantly, and there's only so much we can do, and you want to do so much, and we have frustration, I'm sure you do too, that you want to do more and more all the time. So we need more on board, more people on board.
Join us. No, I think it's a great point, and to touch on that, obviously I've been to the session at the Career Centre where Alison does a session for digital skills, and I think I've met him, and he's so passionate and willing to learn. And I think in all those issues that we're facing in society in terms of becoming digital and the difficulty that brings, it's almost like trying to persuade people, I find sometimes, that digital, in terms of what we're supporting people with, can be an enabler to get over those hurdles. Because let's be honest, they are hurdles for a lot of people. We get there's efficiencies, we get why it might work best for those that know those kind of processes and know those skills. No one's debating that. But we can't forget the people that do struggle. And it's not, like you said, I think we chatted before, it's not always about skill. It's not, I rarely find it's a skill issue. It's usually that confidence and things like that. So to touch on that, I'd say it's just making sure we try and use digital as an enabler, but without forgetting that, yeah, those real difficulties are frustrating. And being honest about that frustration, you know, I say to people, I have this around my neck, I'm a digital inclusion officer. I'm not here to preach digital. I'm not here to try and convert people. You know, I'm not knocking on doors and saying join the digital revolution. I'm saying, you know, are you happy with how you're getting by? Are you frustrated by things? If you are, is it linked to digital? If it is, can I help?
Yeah.
That's the way I try and approach
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And each person's needs, what they want from it, are different.
Of course.
So we can't like write a curriculum and be like,
No.
hey, here's how you learn.
Here's the pamphlet.
Yeah,
read
exactly,
this.
exactly.
Yeah.
We can do a PowerPoint
Yeah.
and whatever,
Yeah.
because people want different things out of technology. They have different hurdles to overcome, or different things that are frustrating them, or that are getting in their way. So it's kind of I think about it when we do our sessions at Lee Library, like it's half a social thing.
Yes.
Of
Yeah.
let's get together, let's have a cup of tea, let's share the frustrations, and then let's work together
Yeah.
to learn as well.
Yeah.
And it's the confidence, and it's learning this new skill set that is no indicator of intelligence or success or ability. It's just something that you haven't learned yet.
Absolutely.
And so kind of going through that together, I think is there's a little community feeling as well.
Community, yeah. I mean, if you go to Lee Library on a Tuesday afternoon, it's social. It's a good group. It's a good group, but I love it. And
It
that's
is.
that. And TechMate tea pies are supposed to be that. I see them as 50% social support as much as they are digital support, because, like we said with Alison and those issues that people might be experiencing, often linked. And we want to ultimately get rid of isolation. And if digital is an enabler to do that, happy days. But no, brilliant points. Allan, yourself, rewarding TechMate, digital support in general. What are you thinking?
I'm going to come at it from a different angle, because
Yeah.
I agree with everything that has been said, and is I think the fundamental basis why we do need to protect people from being excluded. But my take on it is, and how I try and get it across to people, is you haven't got to do this because you need to do it. It's also good fun to be able to use your phone. You know, you've spent a lot of money on your phone. There's a lot of facilities there. You've got a tablet. You know, it isn't just about sending a boring email or asking to somebody to come and collect your bins, or, you know, you need to go to the doctors because you're ill. There's a lot of fun there. You know, there's a lot of entertainment that comes from digital devices. And I mean, I'll include in digital devices things like Fire Sticks that use apps. They work in exactly the same way. And, you know, people, this equipment that is there, you know, people are paying for their internet, will get the best value from it. You know, there's a whole world of entertainment that's available through digital media, through digital devices. And, you know, using your digital device to entertain you is a really great way of getting the confidence to use it, because you're using it in a different way.
Yeah.
If you think, well, I really need to email the doctor and tell him I'm not well and all the rest of it, just adds to the pressure, because I've really got to do this. But I tell you what, I'm going to watch last night's football match that I missed. I'm going to get the highlights on MUTV and stuff like that, and sit back and enjoy. Now, I'm playing with the device. It doesn't matter. Perhaps I can't get it to play that for me, but that doesn't matter. It's not the end of the world. It's a less stressful environment in which to get to know the device. So I'm going to come at it from the entertainment that people can get from their electronic devices.
I think that's great.
I think that is a fantastic point, because as part of our training for our TechMates, and those who may be watching who aren't from Wigan, you might know the phrase digital champion. It's the work with basic digital skills and those who are excluded. Part of our training in Wigan is one, we're not experts. You know, we're not here to say we're experts. We're not going to put you through a course. It's informal, but also it's about using a hook. And you hit the nail on the head there. It's showing the fun in digital. It's showing what you can do that you might enjoy with digital. And by doing those things, like you just said, often you are navigating those skills. You know, how to get to that app to watch your highlights, how to get to that app to watch your favourite, you know, Netflix show, or, you know, whatever it is. And that's what we say. We say, because we don't want you guys as volunteers and any new volunteers to feel pressured about kind of like building syllabuses and lesson plans. You know, we're not about that. We're about just kind of connecting with people on an individual level, on a personal level, being friendly, and often get a hook. Go, okay, someone doesn't really know what they want to learn, but they know they do. What do you enjoy? Do you enjoy fishing? Do you enjoy football? Do you enjoy
Gardening? Like
gardening?
you can get apps And I didn't know this until one of the learners, we were
Taught
talking about
you.
it. Yeah, exactly. It taught me as much as I taught them. We found an app that you can go and take pictures of plants and it identifies it
Yes,
for
I've
you.
got that one.
And then,
Me
right,
too.
it's so cool. And then it will tell you like, oh, it will thrive in these conditions. So if you're
Correct.
thinking about your garden and what plants you want to put where,
Yeah.
something that I hadn't thought about using a phone
No.
for. But like you said, it's the kind of the entertainment, the hobbies.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's be fair on that. I think it might be the same. It might be a similar thing. There's the Google's lens.
Yeah, you take a picture.
Oh my days! Someone told me about that. And do you know how I found out? Because I had a huge spider in my house, and I thought it was like, I was thinking, how long have you been here? You owe me rent. That's how big it was. And I was like, I need to find out what it is, because I think it's poisonous. It wasn't, by the way.
Venomous.
So
How
venomous,
spider.
yeah. I was like, this thing, I think it's a danger to my life. It wasn't. It was a garden spider. But I used Google Lens because I googled it and it said Google Lens will identify it. So you Google Lens, boom, and it gives you all the
That's
results.
so cool.
And I was like, what is this wizardry? And I'm a digital inclusion officer. So yeah, completely agree with that. The fun element, the hook element, the enjoyment of digital. Because I think going back to the very valid point, Alison, digital can be a barrier with the services going online, and people feel kind of isolated because of that. And that's absolutely valid. But I think it's a coin, isn't it? There's two sides to it. It's making sure that we acknowledge that, we're trying to address it, but we also show the other side of that coin where there's a lot of great things, and Allan, you hit the nail on the head with it.
It's a companion, an electronic device should be regarded as your companion. In fact, years ago, I'm going back probably about 10, 15 years ago, when you first got a Samsung phone and you switched it on, the greeting on the screen was lifetime companion. That was their strapline. That was the Samsung strapline for how they regarded that device that you just bought. And of course, that was at a time when that could quite well have been somebody's first smartphone, and that's how they considered it. That was the strapline, lifetime companion. And I think that's when I'm talking to people, it's not this horrible thing that's in your handbag or your pocket. It's actually your friend, and it's fun to have, and it's fun to use, and it can save you a lot of time, effort, and energy.
Let's not forget as well, in terms of isolation, people have learned how to use it like FaceTime and that kind of thing. So if someone is on the road, at least you've got that connection with people, even from the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And it's opened up that for people as
Of
well,
course.
which was never really possible.
Perfect point. And that ties us back to TechMate's origin. It was a remote support service during lockdown, so it was telephone support, which was challenging to try and help someone over the phone. A lot of the support we give as TechMates, it's using visual language, it's trying to cut out the jargon, cut out the fancy words, speak it as you see it, hard to do on the phone. So we always tried on the phone to get people to a point of being able to do the video calling. And if you cast your mind back to 2020, and we try not to, a lot of Zoom quizzes.
Oh my God, I lived on Zoom.
lot of Zoom quizzes, a lot of weekly Zoom quizzes. So Zoom was and video calling was kind of the way we connected with each other. So we used that in TechMates, and there were some great outcomes. We've had some great case studies that we've shared on our website, still there, which document the impact that can have, just getting someone on a video call. So great point. Right then, guys, I think that is all of my pre-planned questions, and I think it's been a great discussion. I suppose what I'll do before we end is I'll just kind of open the floor for anyone to kind of say anything they want to say in regards to TechMates in general, whether it be if you're speaking to anyone who's thinking about it, whether it be just what you think of it generally. I'm not paying them here, this is volunteering again. So you can say whatever you think. If there's anything you think we could do to improve, not just as TechMates, but just as people in the community to help people. You don't have to say anything for this, but if you have anything you want to add, this is your time to. Does anyone have any thoughts on that?
I think the most important thing for me as a TechMate that we haven't talked about yet is kind of what I've got out of it, which is obviously like learning about the plant app and the McDonald's app, which is just it's great because I love learning and the little community that we've got at Lee Library and the people that you see, and when they don't come down and you don't see them, like we'll drop them an email. One of the other learners will drop them an email and be like, oh hey, how are you going? Which is just so lovely to be part of. But for me, not only the human connection, not only the digital learning, but also kind of your own human skills. So meeting different people and engaging with different people and the patience that you need to go through the journey, and not to do the thing that we don't want to do, which is, I'll give it here, I'll do it for you.
Yes.
Because that doesn't help anybody.
No, you've got to tell them what to do, show them how to do it, and then get them to do it. And
Yeah,
that's what,
get out of the way.
as a TechMate, yeah. Well, as a TechMate, when you've got people with you in small groups, it's not a class. It's nothing like it's formal and relaxed. That works perfectly to get them to sit and have a play around with it, with what you've just shown them to do.
And when you see, depending on how many folks you've got there, helping each other out, or go, oh, I got this, what did you get? If they're trying to do the same thing. So it does become like a community learning. It's not like a teacher stood at the front of the class.
No.
I'm definitely invested personally,
Yeah.
rightly or wrongly, but I do, like, if someone's not there who's normally there, you do wonder, are they all right? And you just get to know, people come and go, but you have sometimes your little core ones that do turn up on a regular basis. And you find it is a social thing because many of them are alone at home, or they've got difficult lives, and that little session is just a break from whatever's going on. And they do open up to you as well and tell you awfully personal things, because they trust you. I think we've not mentioned the word trust yet, but it's just inherent in all of us, and they obviously feel that, and they're showing you the bank deed, they give you the card, and you're like, but obviously the feeling that you can be trusted, and that is a nice thing, because you think, wow, that's huge for someone to give you that trust, and the way that they all have the same vibe, we're all in it together kind of thing, and start talking about personal situations, because my wife had this and my husband had that, and I've been on my own eczema, etc., and they feel like they're understood as well. So the brew and a cake and a biscuit, whatever, and even if we don't do that much in terms of digital stuff, then it doesn't matter, because they've had that time to decompress.
They benefited from that session.
Yeah, for whatever reason they've been there, they've had that couple of hours, and then they've gone out maybe feeling a little bit lighter.
Yeah, 100% agree. And I like you've both touched on we've all touched on it in terms of the kind of the self-sustainability of it when they start to teach each other and support each other, and you just sit back and you're like, because that's what we want to achieve. We're not teacher and student, we're
community members,
and that's TechMate. That's why it's called TechMate. It's as much about the mate as about the tech.
Exactly.
And we want to make sure that we're not coming across as like these superior beings who know all. If someone walks into a session that I'm supporting with an iPhone, I get hot sweats, because I do not use iPhone primarily. I know my way around.
I can bear witness to that.
Alan, when I'm at Alan's session and someone comes with an iPhone, I'm like, Allan, Alan's really good at these. But that's kind of the point. And that's why we want it to be as volunteer-led as possible. It's not just because I want to sit back, put my feet up and read a newspaper. I don't, by the way. But it's because the support is more impactful and long-lasting when it's from people in the community. Now, I've got this around my neck, and I love my job. I love doing what I do. But like Alison said before, I work for the council and we get volunteer days. I use my volunteer time to be a TechMate as well. And I've got my own learner. We've been supporting her for 12 months, and she's come leaps and bounds. And I get a personal satisfaction from that, because it's very rewarding for all the reasons that have been said by the panel. So I just want to kind of jump on the end and say I completely agree. And the goal is to get it self-sustainable, because that's when the magic happens, when you see people helping each other. And I suppose the end goal in this kind of golden utopia is TechMate doesn't exist because it doesn't need to. And digital champions don't exist because we are all digital champions. Now that may be possible, may not be, but we'll certainly keep on supporting people as best we can in the meantime. Fantastic point. So we'll draw it to a close. I want to thank you all individually, one-to-one, and as a group, for not just coming today and having a chat and sharing your experiences and your thoughts, but also just generally for being TechMate volunteers for as long as you have, for as much as you have. We always say for TechMates, it's not about how much you do. We're quality over quantity. Doesn't matter if you can give an hour or you can give 1,000 hours. It doesn't matter. If you help someone, you help someone. and we're massively grateful for your time and your efforts in doing
Thank
so.
you.
So thanks guys, and
you.
thank you all for listening. I hope you've enjoyed. Speak to you hopefully soon.